Hello everyone, welcome back to Okayama International Circuit here in Japan for Japan Cup, the national GT series in this part of the world. We are at our third race weekend, which means we are on round 5 of the championship. And we started our season, the weekend of the 24 hours at Sportsland Sugo. We had our Power Tour event with GT World Challenge Asia in Fuji, and it's the second of the Power Tours, but they have a very special date with the new Suzuka 1,000-kilometer race, where Japan Cup will support the 1,000-kilometer race as their final round.
Okayama 国際サーキットへようこそ。今週末、今シーズン2度目の SRO GT パワーツアーが開催されます。
It's also the penultimate rounds of GT World Challenge Asia powered by AWS and the Japan Cup. So, in theory, champions could be crowned. However, the chances of that happening are pretty slim.
それでは早速、今週末の最新情報を見ていきましょう。
The battle for GT World Challenge Asia's overall title looks increasingly like a two-horse race between Origine's Bob Guan and Leo Yi and JMR driver Jeffrey Ibrahim after both scored victories in Fuji. 7 points now separate the two crews.
Only reigning champions Yuan and Yi can retain their titles here at Okayama, but they must win both races and hope that Ibrahim scores no more than 6 points.
Others could yet bounce back into contention, but after non-scoring at Fuji, the likes of Anthony Liu and Dorian Boccalacci and Ruan Kunfan and Maxime Usten now find themselves 42 points adrift. 100 are still available over the final 4 races. KRC's crew are also fully focused on securing the silver and crown this weekend. Ruan and Usten lead Absolute Courses Huang Ruohan and Akash Nandi by 45 points.
The gap between Silver's top 2 is nowhere near as wide, but Audi Sport Asia's Chen Kongfu and James Yu do enjoy a reasonably comfortable 17-point lead over Andy Yi. James and Audi were both winners here last year.
David Tipton Biantoro could also retain his AM-class title on Sunday. He and Garage 75 co-driver Christian Colombo lead Amac's Ben Porter by 25 points.
The 30-car entry features several changes this weekend, but the biggest is undoubtedly China's first Le Mans 24 Hours winner, Yi Yafei, joining Harmony Racing. The Ferrari factory driver makes his GT World Challenge Asia debut.
It's great to be here in Okayama, back with Harmony Racing after racing with them last time in Macau. Very tight championship here in Asia. Always wanted to race back home, kind of in my region. Racing the Ferrari 296 V3 as well. Very competitive car and just can't wait to get the season started. ジャパンカップはシーズン後半戦に突入。開幕戦から全戦で異なるウィナーが誕生しており、まだまだチャンピオン候補が絞られていない展開です。
ランキングトップは富士大会のレース2で見事な優勝を飾った296号車。開幕戦から全戦表彰台に上り、総合力に優れたラインナップでチャンピオン獲得に向けて着々と駒を進めています。
ランキング2位は666号車バンクシー選手。富士大会のレース1ではシーズン初優勝を収め、それ以外のレースでは全て P4 フィニッシュを記録していて、296号車同様に安定した走りを見せています。
ランキング3位につけるのは笹原右京選手と武井慎二選手がドライブする9号車です。富士大会では望んだ結果が残せなかったものの、トップとは20ポイント差とまだまだ逆転の射程圏内にいます。
シリーズチャンピオン争いは激化している中、 GT3 アマクラスのチャンピオンは今大会で決着がつくかもしれません。1号車はランキング2位とは45ポイント差が開いており、今大会でチャンピオン決定の可能性があります。
GTC クラスも同様に888号車のチャンピオン獲得が決定的です。 GT4 クラスは39号車が開幕戦から全勝をマークしている中、2番手の82号車が全戦で2位フィニッシュを記録していることから、チャンピオンの行方は最終戦までわからない展開となっています。
今大会は新たに181号車ノリックレーシングがエントリー。ドライバーラインナップには GT300 クラスチャンピオンのバンバタク選手を控え、最高峰の GT3 プロアマクラスに参戦します。
GT4 クラスにも88号車村上モータースがエントリー。スーパー耐久シリーズに参戦する同チームは今大会でジャパンカップデビューを果たします。
Thank you to Suke and Tom for updating us on everything in the world of GT World Challenge Asia and Japan Cup. It has really gone from strength to strength, and no doubt the entry will be mammoth when it comes to heading to Suzuka in a couple of weeks' time. Obviously a preferred racetrack, the venue of the Formula One Grand Prix for so many years, and the jewel really in the crown. So this is round 5 of the championship, round 5 of 8. Fuji was back in the middle of July, so let's take a look at the highlights. A stunning Japan Cup Race 2 from Fuji, with Mount Fuji appearing in sunny skies. It was an aggressive start from Cozzolino in the 45, squeezing the number 9 of Uko Sasahara into turn 1. They also had to heavily defend from Kawabata, who made a fast start and was slightly put off and challenged by Max Racing. But there was this incident at the first turn on lap 2. Betty Chen rolling into the catch fencing and causing a red flag. Look at that for an attacking pit entry. The 296 of Kawabata nearly losing it as the pit window opened after the restart. And then we had the amateur drivers in the cars. Mr. Maezawa in the 55, slithering his way up the inside of Max Racing. Okayama, who does the whole race by himself, was mighty in the Nissan. And we ended up with this stunning 4-car battle for 3rd position. Maezawa nearly spinning, nearly collecting the Mercedes. The Nissan having to go off in avoidance. And that opened the door for Banksy in the Porsche to slide past. You couldn't really watch, it was so intense. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, on the very last lap, Suzuki in the 296 Cornez Racing Ferrari slithered up the inside of the Ponos Racing Ferrari and took the victory. The emotion was just out of this world. Half a second separating the Ponos Racing Ferrari from the Cornez Racing Ferrari, and even for 3rd there was only half a second in it as well. It really was a stunning climax to a weekend we'll not forget for a while. Japan Cup continues to deliver. Kei Colasino, the victor. And it's also a great place to see different types of vehicle. The run-up Nissan, ever present in Japan Cup, whether it be as a support race, a support category within GT World Challenge before a couple of years ago, where it went on its own as a standalone event. And we do have 2 Nissans in the entry, with the second one being the Team Daishan with GTNet, which we have seen racing previous years as a father and son. It was the son who drove on his own in Fuji, and that's why they had, well, no, that's possibly not fair, but they had really, really strong results with just the one driver. Good qualifying for the 96 car. Sunagaya and Fukujimi will be right up there in that Lexus. Again, another car that you really don't see too much of. They exist in the World Endurance Championship in the GT3 category there, under slightly different regulations. But in GT World Challenge Europe, for instance, there isn't a Lexus. I don't think there is in America or Australia. So really cool to have that car with us. 2 Nissans, a Lexus, a Mercedes in the entry, 1 488 Ferrari, and then the rest are the 296 variant. Pretty popular choice in Japan Cup. We've got 12 Porsches in GT World Challenge Asia, and we've got just as many Ferraris in this category. Ferrari taking victory in the first race of GT World Challenge Asia. First time in 2 years that Ferrari have taken victory in GT World Challenge Asia, and it is their 10th Ferrari victory in that category. It's more of a certainty, maybe not a certainty, but it's certainly likely in Japan Cup. Let's go down to Amy with a brand new driver to Japan Cup, a celebrated driver, Taku Bamba.
さあ、ジャパンカップのグリッドにやってまいりましたバンバタク選手ですね、今回から初参戦ということで助っ人という
助っ人のそうですね、はい、助っ人、はい。
どうですか、このジャパンカップどう感じてますか、雰囲気。
いや、なんか去年からね、チャレンジフェラーリチャレンジをコーチングしてたので、一緒にね岡山とかは併載してたんで見てはいたんですけど、実際出るとやっぱりねこれがレースだなっていうすごい楽しい。はい。
楽しいのはもう何よりなんですけれども、バンバ選手このフェラーリ、コーチングはされてるんですが、実際にご自身が乗り込むのというのはもしや。
そのコーチしてたのはフェラーリチャレンジっていう車で、これ 296GT3 なんで GT3 はね今年の6月ぐらいだったかなの富士のシェイクダウンが初乗りで、この間の鈴鹿でちょっとだけ乗って、で今週がその次というですね。
じゃあもうレースってまるっとレースするのは今回が初レース。
初です、もう完全に初です。はい。
だいぶ期待してますんで、ぜひフェラーリ勢ね割と多いんですけれども、ぐいぐいと追い抜いていただいて。
そうですね。ただこのチーム本当新規チームでまだ始まって、今回がデビュー戦で次の鈴鹿も出るんですけど、来年に向けた今年はもう準備期間なので、もちろん抜いていきたい気持ちも山々ももちろんあるけど、しっかり2人で力を合わせて完走するというのを目標に頑張ります。
はい、では期待してますんで頑張ってください。
はい、ありがとうございます。
So for the international fans, Bambataku, it's the first time actually driving in this GT3 car. He's been coaching for the Ferrari Challenge, but it is a slightly different car. So he's very excited about the race today. He has been testing the car already, but not have driven the car in a race. So that's the exciting part. Also, his partner is also doing well. He's been coaching him for a while now. And also they're looking forward to the Suzuka race, which is happening in about 10 days. And so yeah, you could see the excitement on his face, and let's hope, he was hoping that they will overtake a few Ferraris in front of them, and he will try his best. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Amy. Great to have Amy back with us after a few races off. 34 degrees, slightly cooler, 1 degree cooler than GT World Challenge Asia, and a couple of degrees cooler on the track temperature as we come towards 4 o'clock. So the heat of the day really is at the 2 o'clock period, and we are now on the other side of it and heading towards dusk, which will be a great relief to everybody because it is slightly oven-like with a bit of humidity as well. And certainly hearing from Boccalacci on the interview after his race in GT World Challenge, they were really struggling with the heat. Obviously, they don't want to turn the air conditioning on. There is air conditioning in all these cars, but it saps power, so they sort of try not to and use other solutions like the reflective windscreen guard that you might see on holiday in Italy or Greece. Don't need that in the UK. It's very it's not very useful, but yeah, very, very useful in hot countries. And as you can see, all cars with them. Great to have Taku Bamba, 2018 Super GT 300 champion. I think he also leads the series this year. But as he mentioned, has been driver training in the Ferrari Challenge for the last couple of years, and it's that classic thing. It happens a lot. You're a part of a driver challenge, and then the drivers within that challenge then say, "Hey, I fancy moving on from this challenge," and they talk to their favorite driver coach and say, "What do I do? Where do I go?" And so the suggestion was come to Japan Cup. And so great to have Norik Racing with us. It's a beautiful car. Norikazu Shibata and Taku Bamba will drive 181. Let's go back down to Amy.
は はい、再びグリッドからお届けしますが、こちらもフェラーリですね、296号車川端選手お話伺いたいんですけども、毎戦ポディウムに乗っているということで、このフェラーリの速さというか秘訣をぜひぜひ教えてください。
フェラーリのですか？
いやチームとフェラーリのパッケージ。
そうですね。フェラーリは今年初めてなんで、ちょっといろいろわからない部分もあるんですけど、車はものすごく精密でいい車だなと。はい。でチーム的には僕はずっと所属しているチームですし、鈴木さんもずっと、一つ山レーシングとやっているので、そういった点では、チームワークはいいんじゃないかなと思います。はい。
改めてね、このジャパンカップって川端選手からしたらどういう雰囲気ですか？
なんていうんですかね、日本のレースとはまた違って、ジャパンカップですけど、なんか海外のレースみたいなで、レベルもものすごく高いんで、本当にスーパーフォーミュラ出てる選手だったりね、一流の選手ばっかりの中で戦うのは結構大変なんですけど、頑張ってます。はい、
じゃあこのレースもね期待してますんで、ぜひ頑張ってください。
はい、ありがとうございます。
To our international fans, so this was Kawabata. He was referring to the car just being very beautifully set up. It's been great, and that is the reason why they have been on the podium throughout the whole season. Also, his partner is doing a quite well job. For him himself, it's the first time. Usually he drives another car, but it's the first time to be challenging this championship with the Ferrari. So he is very, very happy about the job he has been doing so far, looking good. And also about Japan Cup, he feels that it's a very international race, despite all the teams are from Japan, but there are so many nice, like very, very high quality drivers such as drivers from Super Formula, so he's very honored to be racing aside them. Back to you.
Lovely words then from Kawabata, who was very strong in the previous round. Did they not win? I've got the wrong document up, but we certainly saw them on the podium, didn't we? Yes, they did, and they are leading the championship. So they are 12 points ahead of Banksy and absolutely doing the job that is required of him. A couple of different classes in Japan Cup. So you have GT4 and GT3 cars. There's also a GTC car, which is a cup car for Carrera Cup cars, effectively. So if you own a Japan Carrera Cup Japan car, then you can come and race it in Japan Cup as an endurance car. There's slight differences in obviously fuel tank size and a few endurance modifications, but it's very, very popular in Europe, and obviously so many Carrera Cup cars knocking about, and they've just announced an upgrade to that Carrera Cup car, so many of the regions will get a new car for next year, which means, you know, what do you do with the old cars? The old cars become null and void, so creating a place for them to race, as they have done in Japan Cup, is absolutely perfect. Let's go back down to Amy, who has the 666 car with her.
はい、さあ再びですねグリッドからお届けしてますけれども、ポールシッターバンクシー選手今車に乗り込んでますけれどもですね、渡選手、ポールスタートということでバンクシー選手昨年はポールトゥービンを達成してますんで、結構自信満々げに入ってきました。
そうですね、もともとポルシェ自体もこのコース得意っていうこともあったんで、練習の段階から調子も良かったですし、今大会はいけるっていうちょっと自信を持ってこう予選に挑むことができて、で本当にバンクシーさんが素晴らしい走りでこうポールを取ってくれたんで、本当に嬉しいです。
後ろからポルシェ勢がですね、ポルシェ勢、フェラーリ勢がもうたくさんと来てますけど、そこら辺渡選手はプレッシャー感じてますか？
そうですね、やっぱり僕自身もプレッシャーありますし、バンクシーさんもプレッシャーあると思うんですけど、ペースを見る限り、僕たちもレースペースは良さそうなんで、自信を持って走りたいなと思います。
それでは期待してますんで頑張ってください。
はい、頑張ります。
let me translate this once again. So yeah, it looks like the Porsche has been doing quite a well job over the weekend, so he's very happy about that. The fact that there are a lot of Ferraris coming from behind is a lot of pressure on both of them, he said. But yeah, as we can see, he said that Banksy is a little bit relaxed starting from position because he had a pole to win last season. So he's very much hoping to see that again, and he will try his best. That's what he said. Back to you.
Yeah, absolutely. They made their debut here last year, didn't they, in Japan Cup? And they got themselves a victory in race 1, but I'm a bit worried about the balanced performance for the Porsches. Here is the circuit, by the way, 3.7 kilometers in length. GT3 lap record has tumbled as of today because it's almost 3 or 4 tenths faster than that. It's quite nadgery, 13 corners, very low speed, most of them, and not easy to overtake. You'll notice the names Atwood, Moss, Hobbs, Redman, all names of racing drivers who opened this circuit.
Get on board with me on my car on the Okayama circuit. It was my first race last year in GT World Challenge Asia. Here we're on the straight, big braking for the turn 1. We get a big oversteer at the entry, a lot of time in this corner, so it's very, very sensitive corner. Then we arrive to turn 2, not really easy. We don't see clearly the exit, and we need to be very, very close to the gravels in exit. Then we have a little straight, not really straight. We can see some traffic here, big braking, and here we need to go uphill, and we have a really, really long straight, so it's really important to get a good exit there. Then we are on the straight, like go-kart, we can put the head in front, we take some speed, and here we have the biggest braking of the track. Nice hairpin, we need to stay a bit tight because then we have a left corner, we need to open it, cut a little bit here. Don't do track limit out of turn 8, and then again turn 9, a little left corner, little straight. Okay, we arrived to the last sector. Very, very good with the Porsche. We get a good rotation here. First hairpin, then we need to prepare the second hairpin, so don't go fully wide in the exit. And we arrive in turn 12 and turn 13, last corner. Turn 12, it's very difficult because we have the gravel and we need to carry a lot of spin in, and then we arrive directly to last corner. And what is important is really to get a good exit for the straight line.
The grid then is formed for race 5 of this year's Japan Cup. GTC, GT4 and GT3 cars. In the GT3 category, we've got the AM as well as the Pro-Am category. Keep an eye out for that. There you are, on board with Mr. Maezawa. Very happy to once again have an onboard camera inside the 555 Maezawa car. Well, great work from our grid girls. 1 minute board shown to all of our drivers. The grid is cleared. And we will get our formation underway. We'll probably have 2 formation laps as per usual. The argument is to get everything up to temperature, but of course it's pretty hot already. So not quite sure how absolutely necessary it is, but it's the way that race control run these races really kind of the last couple of years. And it gives everyone a chance really to settle in. The safety car heads off, and once the green light and the flag is given, then the rest of the cars can follow. I'm just waiting for them to get underway, taking their time about it, and I do wonder whether that's a problem. on the grid? I think it is. And that is the Ponos Racing Ferrari that has not got going. And that is the car of Shishiko and Kei Cozzolino. And now the last car is passed. That means he will have to start at the tail of the field if they can at all. Now, they're trying to park, marshals are trying to push the car, but it is stuck in gear by the looks of things, otherwise that should be easy to push. And of course, it's not a gear stick. There'll be the ability to manually force neutral if a driver knows how to do that. But of course, everything else is electric. Need to get that car cleared. Here is the grid then. Toyota Gazoo Racing Indonesia on the pole in GT4. Tiger Wu on the pole in GTC. And then we have the two GT3 categories. GT3 AM is Team Machina, Uematsu and Suzuki, and Bingo Racing, Banksy's team 7-7 Racing on the pole in Pro Am. And the full grid then. Banksy and Akita on the front row. Ponos Racing not starting, Maezawa alongside. Uematsu has a clear track ahead of him alongside Suzuki, with Uchida and Takai on row 4. Kazuki and Shibata, and then Yamawaki and Suenagu, the two K-Tunes cars in row 6. Tiger Wu and Nishikawa in 14th. Oyagi, and then the GT4 cars of Manopo, Murakami from Murakami Motors, and Makino. So we aren't going to go 2x2 formation, I'm hearing. Oh, they've got the dolly jacks underneath the 45. So we are now in racing conditions, slightly confusingly, because of the second safety car lap is always once the clock has started. But of course, because of this problem, race control suggesting that we may have to start under safety car conditions, which would mean a single file start rather than the usual double file start. But, and that's what we're hearing from race control, but the 45 car is cleared now, and so there is no obstruction. So potentially you could still do it the normal way. But either way, because we've got safety car now announced, we have to run a single file start. It's where this rule of 2 safety car laps, but the second one is always within the clock, is sort of a workaround of the regulations rather than something that is written into the regulations. So the safety car will come into this lap, but I don't know how many drivers are going to be informed of how to start this race. They would be expecting to go side by side, 2x2 formation. But I think Banksy has gone anyway. So I think the message was given. Everyone knew what they had to do. Single file start, and slightly unnecessarily, we have a single file start and we go racing. So no jeopardy into turn 1, which is kind of good, but it does mean the cars further back are already quite stretched out. Banksy, Akita, Maezawa, your top 3. Uematsu, the first of the AMs, in 4th position. Suzuki, Uchida and Takai, with Otta, the second AM, in 8th position. Porsche leading a train of Ferraris, with just one Mercedes in the mix there in 6th position. Otherwise, it's Ferrari all the way down to 10th spot. And Akita looks to the outside. Banksy has that inside line covered, though. This does work, as we saw in GT World Challenge Asia. If you can stay around the outside, but Banksy has managed to hold the inside line for both of the corners, and Akita runs a little bit wide. Here comes Maezawa looking to the inside, but there is no space there. Maezawa sensible to back out of that, but was needing to defend from Uematsu, and Uematsu now down the inside, and that should be third position. Nice work from Uematsu. Remember, although he's classified as an AM driver, they are all AM drivers out there at the moment. We don't have a pro category. We do have a silver category. Do we have a silver category? We used to have a silver category. But effectively, all drivers out there are AM drivers right now. So Uematsu is in the right place. Love to see the lights ablaze, even if it's still pretty much daytime. For some reason, the camera really are emphasizing those running lights. And Uematsu moves up ahead of Maezawa. Now they have got car 45 running. So all cars are now accounted for, but what a shame for Bonos Racing. They were 6th in the championship after 2 victories and 2 retirements. I'm sure they were going to be caught by Banksy in the end. There is the 45. Obviously just needed a battery boost to get the car running. At the moment, after that initial attack, Banksy looks under control, doesn't he? Akita in second, Uematsu in third, Maezawa fourth, Suzuki fifth, Uchida, Takai, Ota, Shibata. Nothing has really changed after that safety car start. There's Uematsu. Feel as though they are unchallenged in the AM Cup, though they came third in Fuji. It was Oyagi who took the victory, but otherwise 3 victories to the #1 reigning champion car. As I said, he is an AM, so he is perfectly capable to battle the rest of the AMs. Did the whole of last year on his own, if you remember, in a McLaren, but sharing the car with Suzuki this year hasn't changed the result. There is Tiger Woo's mightily impressive and multicoloured Porsche at livery. I wonder if that's exactly the same car he runs in Porsche Carrera Cup Japan, because he has a very similar livery on that car also. Class-leading GT4 driver, Manopo. I always think that they were the champions last year, but it was 2 years ago where they were Japan Cup GT4 champions, and the most consistent and ever-present in Japan Cup in the GT4 category. We welcome Murakami Motors into GT4. 3 cars in that category this weekend. If you remember, we had Destino with Sunrise Boulevard in Fuji, but they had issues and never started. And then K-Tunes Racing with Betty Chen had that big accident which caused a red flag at turn 1 in Fuji. That car obviously now not as intended to be designed, let's say. As I understand it, Betty Chen okay after that crash, was taken to the local medical centre. On board with Banksy then. Let's have a look at how this Porsche is handling. How is he handling the pressure of Akita behind him? One drop gear down through the final turn to just get that nose in, helps the front end. Down into turn one. Turns in early, that'll be partly to defend, but it looks quite smooth at the moment. Does well to get the apex there. And then next one all the way down to the end of the straight. More conventional to do the turn in at that part of the circuit, turn in early. It's just the way, because the banking, the car and the circuit allows that to work better. Terminal velocity here. Again, slightly direct. Well, this is where it becomes a little bit more fiddly. Stay away from the gravel on the right-hand side there. There you go, there's a lap with Banksy, and it all looks under control, I have to say. Not having to push too hard, not wringing the neck of the car. And for the moment, everybody kind of under control. Maezawa looks to be under a bit of pressure in fourth from our championship leaders. The Cornez Racing 296 Ferrari. Breathing down the neck of Maezawa. Although actually, from that shot, it is a bit further apart. And actually, it's the next battle that's closer, isn't it? Just coming in the back of shot. We go back on board with Maezawa. Let's have a look at how the Ferrari is handling. Here's that battle I alluded to just a second ago. For sixth position, Uchida, Takai and Ota. Here you go on board with Takai. It is a hard place to overtake around here. Again, looks good from Takai, not too much work in Bingo Racing. There is that battle in relation to those ahead, closest three. And then the K-Tunes Ferrari 98, a good 8.5 seconds ahead of the Lexus. And here's our GT4 leader with 4.5 second advantage over Murakami. We've got an onboard in the GT4 car as well. Now, what you'll notice in here is a lot more steering lock. It's a funny looking steering wheel, I will grant you, number one. But obviously, nowhere near as much downforce. You can be more aggressive with the curbs, especially the Supra, which is quite high. And there's a little bit more body roll in the car. There was a slight slide on the power as he came out that last turn. It's lovely and smooth driving here from Manapo. I don't know how many years he's been driving that car, but it's been a good few. So he knows what he's doing. Now, our leading, I was about to say our leading two cars catching the GT4 cars, but that is absolutely not true. Thumbs up so far in the garage, 7-7 Racing. Oh, that Mercedes just sounds so good. Blasting its way in the forest here. We're actually about half an hour to an hour from Okayama itself. We are very much in the hills. Amazing place to have a racetrack. It's a shame actually that the circuit doesn't replicate the surroundings, because we are, as you can see by the horizon, we're surrounded by rolling mountains. And if you go to the Nürburgring, it's very similar. But the Nürburgring, obviously, the circuit itself reflects the character of the world and the earth around it, whereas this Okayama circuit very much sort of, I wonder how much earth moving they did, because it does seem to be sitting on a plateau surrounded by mountains. Just managed to drop the 66 of Otter, these two, so a gap over a second now to the second of our AM competitors, but that still represents the closest battle. Banksy leads and would take over the lead of the championship if it stayed the way it is right now, but there is such a big difference between our pros and our AMs in Japan Cup that I don't know if it will stay like that. I think it might change. Interesting that Watarabe would be third in the championship if it stayed like this, having missed the first weekend. Just so if Banksy does win the championship, he doesn't have to share the trophy with anybody else. Everyone being frightfully well behaved. Of course, last year when we were here, we had drizzle, and it did make spiced up our lives a little bit. Back on board with Maezawa then, in fourth position. Little bit of a gap to Matsu ahead. Start of the season, of course, in Sugo, in soggy conditions there. And every time you see Maezawa out on circuit, you do feel as though he's made great progress. Third on the podium in Fuji, fourth in race one. They did end up retiring in both races in Sugo. But so far, this is the best run for Uematsu in his AM. I don't think he's had an overall top three. And of course, once Yokomiso takes over from this car, he'll be chasing down Takashi Kobayashi, who will take over the 18. And of course, as we mentioned already, Taichi Watarabe will take over in the 66 car. Effectively managed to eliminate Cozzolino from this party as he starts as that 45 car with a problem at the start, having to start right at the tail of the field. Seems to be sort of the story of the year, really. 2 podiums, but then 2 retirements. A podium, a second position, and a retirement in each of the 2 weekends we've had so far for Ponos Racing. And right, before we get our pit stop cycle underway, let's go back down to Amy in the pits.
さあ、ピット からお届けしております18号車ですね、小林選手ですけれども、このジャパンカップっていうちょっとなんだろうな、いつもとは違う雰囲気でのレースかと思うんですけれども、今のところ P2 ということで秋田選手いい仕事をしてます。
秋田さん予選から素晴らしい走りしてくれて、今もねトップと僅差で2番で走ってくれてすごい頼もしいなんで、なんとか僕代わってねトップ奪い返せるように頑張りたいなと思います。
で次戦ね最終戦鈴鹿になってますけれども、そちらに向けてもねいい結果で終えたいですね。
そうですね、いろいろデータも取ったりもしたいですし、やっぱ最後の鈴鹿で優勝して終われるようにしたいと思うので、まずこのレース勝って明日も頑張って鈴鹿の残りの2レースもねいい結果出せるように頑張りたいと思います。
じゃあこれから乗り込むということで頑張ってください。
頑張ります。ありがとうございます。
ありがとうございます。To all our international fans, so yeah, he's been very happy with the job Akita is doing so far. P2 has been a great start for them. He was really quick at qualifying, so this is a very, very positive aspect. They are also looking forward to the Suzuka race. Why they really, really want to stay on the podium for this race and also tomorrow. It was very positive, his comments, and yeah, he's very much looking forward to step into the car, probably within the next few minutes. Back to you.
Yeah, pit window opens in 5 minutes and 30 seconds, and for those that have pro drivers, you are at a disadvantage if you don't put them in as quickly as possible, and so we will see pit stops very, very quickly. Uematsu, Ota, Oyagai and Nishikawa, they can all have more flexibility depending on the quality of the driver. Now, Oyagi in the 81 Nissan, he is the slower Oyagi, Daddy Oyagi. So I imagine he'll want to come in early and get Sun in, because Sun Oyagi is very good and very fast, and was right at the sharp end of the field in Fuji. Ferrari gets himself ready at the back of what was one of the smartest garages that we've got across both categories, to be fair. GT World Challenge with a bit more of a challenge to get lug a pretty garage around from country to country, whereas obviously the Japanese in Japan Cup just need to drive their trucks. Yamawaki has been chipping away at Ferrari's advantage. Noric Racing, 181 that we heard from at the top of the show. Shibata in 8th position and Yamawaki closing him down. Miyazawa's had a problem. Miyazawa is stopped. The 555 car, I'm afraid, as you can see on the tower, has dropped to 14th position, and we go full course yellow. And unless this is a short full course yellow, and we've yet to find the 555 car, then we will have a safety car afterwards, and it's going to be pretty close to our pit window. So pit window probably will end up being delayed. There is 555, and it doesn't look like there's been any. It's a very odd place to end up, but especially the position in which the car is pointing. I think that was Miyazawa about to get out of the car. Yes, it is. So it is a mechanical failure, I'm afraid. How frustrating. The medical team are over with him, so that kind of suggests as though he has had a shunt. Car didn't look like it was damaged at all. And of course, the medical team wanting to give him absolutely all the attention they possibly can. But certainly the angle in which we could see the car, it didn't look damaged. So let's have a look. On board with 555. We've got a replay. Just lit the rears up. How very, very weird. Now, usually traction control would sort that out, and it's weird also that even though it had front-end impact, the car is unable to move from there. So maybe there was a bit of rear end, but Maezawa lighting up the rear there, and it was almost as though maybe by mistake he'd knocked the traction control off, because that is certainly a position where in dry conditions you would not expect the car to do that. So a mystery, but I'm afraid Maezawa and 555 is out. So even if we recover the car, which hasn't yet been recovered by the way, we're waiting for the pit window to open, and then race control have announced that they are going to wait until everybody is pitted before going to safety car, which is very fair, but it might mean that we're waiting a little while, because there's absolutely no rush for anybody to do anything, although in theory they should take advantage of pitting under full course yellow, because it's a free pit stop. And indeed, the first person who is able to, I think, I don't know actually. I think the 88 and the 296 could have come in, but either way, coming into the pits is the 24 Max Racing Mercedes, followed by the Bingo LM Corsa Ferrari, and everybody should be coming in, although I just see that Tiger Wu, no, that's not Tiger Wu, that is the GT4 car of Sunrise Boulevard, that is staying out on circuit. So this is what I mean. Race control can't force you to pit. So they keep the full course yellow out as much as they can, but they don't force you to pit, and so we could be waiting a while. Another car not to pit comes over the line, number 96, so that's the K-Tunes Lexus, staying out for another lap, so is Tiger Wu. Now success penalties, of course, extra 5 seconds for, extra 15 seconds for Cornez Racing, extra 10 for the 45 car, extra 5 for Maezawa. So actually the only one that we really care about there is the Cornez Racing penalty, because an extra 15 seconds is going to be, actually it's not going to make any difference at all, is it? Because they're all travelling the same speed. So in theory, this doesn't, the order does not get mixed up at all. Everybody should have the same timed pit stop apart from Cornez Racing and Ponos Racing, but they're at the back of the field, so it won't affect them. But Bingo now come in. Banksy now comes in. Akita comes in as well in the up garage ACR car, and the leader in GT4 is also in the mix there, Monopo. It looks as though everyone is being pretty compliant here. And with that means we should be able to get racing back underway, although tracking suggests that the 55 car is still in position, which surprises me slightly, because there wasn't a huge amount that they needed to do. Here are three cars that have come up very much on top of each other. Toyota in the 66, Takagi in the 98, he should be a bit of a mover. And then Bamba in the 181, all on the same bit of tarmac, effectively for 9th position. So those two are the first of our pitters, Motojima and Sasahara. And the 45 should be Cozzolino, of course, is miles back. But 7-7 comes out happily. Otterari. Second for Team Up Garage, Kobayashi in that car. Third will be Suzuki in the number 1. But Suzuki in the 296 is going to have to wait a little bit longer to get back out onto circuit. And the 24 comes past and the 9 comes past. That's 2 positions lost. And where is that 296? Kawabata now coming out onto circuit. And we'll have some work to do. Of course, we'll have the safety car, we'll bunch everybody up again, so any gaps established by the first drivers will be completely null and void. And now the safety car has to go and find that little gaggle of cars. 666, 18, number 1. 666 because it's a angel letter, means luck, not devil, as the translation was earlier on today. We spoke to Banksy. Angel is much nicer. Still don't know why they didn't just use 77. Because there isn't a 77. There isn't a 777. There isn't even a 7. So surely that would have been much more logical. But I think that may be a recurring theme of mine until they decide to take 777 as a number. Safety car still hunting for that team. Here we go, Onboard with 555 once more. Okay, so what's going on here? I wonder whether there was a drive shaft that broke. And that's what spun him around. Because then he hasn't got any drive, you see. I mean, there's not a massive horrible noise, but he hasn't got any drive, and the car spinning up like that. I'm going to put, I'm not going to put any money on it, but I'm going to suggest lightly, for the sake of Mr. Miyazawa himself as well, that the inside right drive shaft failed, and that's what pitched him into the spin, because he also had this sort of what sounded like a power up, like a real spin up of the wheels, and that would happen on the if a drive shaft failed. I don't think that spin up would happen in dry conditions in the situation that we're in right now. Safety car then has picked up our leader, and that means we can then pick up the race and the rest of them. Right, let's go back down to Amy, who is down there with the Miyazawa team, to find out more.
ピットからお届けします。横溝選手、前澤選手、まずは大丈夫ですか？結構な衝撃が加わったかと思うんですけれども、ドライバーは大丈夫ですか？
そうですね、特に大きなことはないと思うんですけど、無線でまだやり取りできないんでわからないんですが、はい。
見た感じリアがこうなんか抜けたっていう感じなんですけれども、現状まだ何が起きたっていうかのはチーム内ではまだ分かっていない。
そうですね、はい、まだ分かってないんですけど、バトル中に、何か起きたのかなっていう感じですかね。はい。
せっかくのねセカンドロースタートだったと思うんですけれども、明日もあるのでぜひまた気持ちを切り替えて、はい、頑張ってください。
はい、チームとしては非常に車は今週スピードありますし、明日また走れればいいレースができると思います。
期待してますんで、とりあえずお疲れ様でした。ありがとうございました。So first of all, the driver is okay, but however, we do not know yet what happened. There was no radio from the driver after it happened, so they are still under investigation. But they will heads high, looking forward to tomorrow, and he will try his best starting tomorrow, the race 2, and yeah, they're very looking forward to it. It was just unfortunate what happened, and they will find out soon. Back to you.
It's going to be mega tomorrow, isn't it? With Cozzolino, Sasahara at the sharp end. Hopefully they get their elbows out and we have a bit of a fight, because that will provide us with great entertainment. Yokomiso was the third driver in that trio, wasn't he? They were separated by 1/10 of a second, and even other names were separated by only 0.1 of a second in qualifying. So the Toyota Supra safety car with lights ablaze here in Okayama. We still haven't quite got all the cars caught up to the tail, because the GT4 cars are having to actually push quite hard to catch up here. I'm pretty sure they will catch up by the time we get to going back to green flag running, but we do have 3 cars coming around the final turn, 2 of which are GT4 cars. The third is probably the 45, isn't it, being delayed? Yes, it is. So Cozzolino at the tail of the field, but good news for him, if they can catch up the safety car, is that he can start catching. There are those 3 cars. As I said, sorry, they're not GT4 cars. Why is the 81 going so slowly then? He is going to catch the leaders, and I'm pretty sure we will be able to go back to green flag racing even on this lap and see what race control think. But they have caught the tail of the field. But yeah, so Ayagi going slowly. The number 81. Lights are on the safety car. I think they have to go off on this straight if we were going to go back to green flag running on this lap. So 666 under investigation. Yellow flag. Right, so there'll be yellow flags covering the incident initially, and then yellow flags around the whole circuit. Now, usually a yellow flag infringement would be an overtake under yellow flags. But he was at the lead of the race, so I don't know who he would be overtaking in that sense. All cars are now in 1 queue. Looking forward to seeing what Cozzolino can do in this second stint, because he is now reattached to the tail of the field, and they haven't been for the whole of the race so far. So opportunity for Cozzolino to move up through the field for sure. And the pace is pretty good, isn't it? Let's go back down to Amy, who is going to have a quick chat with Uematsu before we get back going again.
さあ、ピットからですね、カーナンバー1ということで、上松選手、昨年はね、シングルドライバーだったということで、あんまりインタビューできなかったんですけど、ナンバー1を背負ってのこのジャパンカップ、どんなお気持ちでレースしてますか？
そうですね、応援してくれる仲間がたくさんいるので、その人たちに 勝利で届けたいっていうね、その気持ちが一番自分自身の、チーム全体もそうなんですけれども、モチベーションになってますよね。はい。
この先ね、ぜひポディウムで終われるように、ぜひ応援して、
はい、全部残り4レース勝てるように頑張っていきたいと思います。
頑張ってください。はい、ありがとうございます。So the fact that the car is number 1, there is a lot of pressure, but he wants to give a lot of wins and he wants to collect a lot of wins. So that's why it is a very important number for him. And he is enjoying this Japan Cup very much. And he also had a very great stint and looking forward to the podium. Back to you.
Oh, well, I'm pretty sure that were they not number 1 last year as well? Safety car is in. We are going to go racing very, very shortly and get ourselves back going. No, he's number 55 last year. So, yes, number 1 because the champions. Go! Watanabe has got himself a nice little gap over Kobayashi at the head of the field as we go back to green flag racing with 20 minutes remaining. It's like a touring car race. It's going to be flat out to the flag. Suzuki in 3rd position, but with lots of pro drivers around him. He's going to have to be careful. But Motojima and Sasahara, watch out for the number 9 car. And as I've already mentioned, watch out for Cozzolino at the tail of the field. Only just coming over the line now, so there is a bit of a gap for him to work on. We go on board with Uko Sasahara. Little hesitant on the throttle, goes to the outside line of the Max Racing Mercedes. It's going to be tough to go all the way around the outside there, but he has got a good overlap. What can he do about the Mercedes ahead? I think that, sorry, the McLaren, not the McLaren, the Ferrari ahead. Oh, threading the eye of the needle from Sasahara, and does manage to get 2 places in 2 corners. Suzuki would be good just to stay out of this because he's miles ahead of the rest of his amateur competitors. And Kawabata down the inside and moves up. Drive-through penalty for car 666 for overtaking under yellows. What a massive, massive mistake from either Banksy before the pit stop or Cozzolino Watanabe after the pit stop. He overtook Nonaka, we understand, so the GT4 car. But drive-through penalty is disastrous at this late stage in the race unless we get another safety car. It's going to hand the lead to Team Up Garage. This is now the race for the lead. Sasahara crawling all over the back of Kobayashi. Is there any space down the inside there? No, there is not. This is almost like a one-make Ferrari challenge race, isn't it? There's so many Ferraris ahead of the field. Sasahara, absolutely the favoured one here. Kawabata in 296 at the top of shot. Sasahara wiggles his way down the inside of the Team Up Garage by ACR Ferrari, and Kobayashi is demoted to 2nd position. But that was on the absolute limit of adhesion. Saw the car wobbling around underneath him. But he managed to make it stick. Kawabata attacking Motojima. There's a gap now because Suzuki has created that gap. Then Takagi, Bamba, and Fukushima. Now drive-through penalty for car 666. Just how far is he going to drop down the order? He's going to be at the back of the GT3 cars, there is no doubt about that. Cozzolino, the 45, is the last of the GT4 cars, 3 cars, sorry. And he comes across the line now. So a painful, painful, painful penalty for the 666-77 racing machine that even loses positions to some of our other competitors. Tiger Wu comes through. And I'm not sure that Watanabe can really do anything about that. He is in the points still, he's in 10th position. But it now leaves Sasahara in the lead, Kobayashi in second position, Motojima in third, Kawabata looking to try and get down the inside. And really, that must be the four-car battle for the victory. Then there's a second group of cars behind these first four, battling over fifth position. Somebody out there doesn't sound right. It's quite hard to identify which car it is, but there's definitely a car with a broken exhaust. Quite who is running not anywhere near where they should be. Unless it's the Nissan, perhaps it's the Nissan. Motojima holding on from Kawabata at the moment. It's very, very hard to overtake. Car 360 and 66 under investigations. That's Toyota and Tanaka battling over third in AM. They've collided somewhere. So that's under investigation. Unsurprisingly, Bingo Racing with LM Corsa. Sasahara stretching his advantage now. Third in the championship for the moment, with a good weekend in Sugo, but a pretty disastrous weekend in Fuji. I'll tell you what though, this is working well for Bingo Racing here in Okayama. Sasahara coming up to celebrate his 30th birthday, would you believe, in April of next year. Completely crazy considering how many years he seems to have been in the Super Formula Series. Japanese Formula 3 Asian Championship in 2019, pre-COVID champion. Wins to his name in Super GT this year. In fact, where did he win this year? It's actually partner to Giuliano Alesi in the Malaysia race. That's where he took his victory. Used to being at the very sharp end of the Super Formula, Super GT. Also races in Super Formula, but less stronger, and has no Super Formula commitment this year. Here's Suzuki leading that AM class. And there is our GTC leader, Bingo Racing's Tiger Wu, who, by the end of this race, I think will have wrapped up the GTC Championship. 3 races remain, needs 75 points. And no, actually he won't do, not in this race. But I suppose it's guaranteed because there is nobody else racing against him. Oh, that's a bit late down the inside. There's contact between Kawabata and Motojima for third position. There's another penalty coming the way of Kawabata, there's no doubt. But that's a disaster for the Max Racing Mercedes, who's not even been able to get a spin turn in. again, needs to get his wheels over that curb. There we go, now manages it. Meanwhile, drive-through penalty for car 360. And Takagi is going to be promoted up into third position. That's good news for K-Tunes, who really need something like that after what has been pretty miserable for the championship winning team of last year. Otajima down in 10th position now. Deary, deary me. 11 minutes remaining, so race control need to get that one in quick, but I don't know. He had sort of committed, hadn't he? And there was no chance. Now 45 is back in the pits. Why is 45 in the pits? There's nothing on my screens to suggest they have a drive-through penalty. And in fact, they have pitted just underneath me. So I don't know whether Cosolino's just decided there's no point. On board with Uko Sasahara then. I think I said it before, the quality of the pros in Japan Cup very much equal to what we see in GT World Challenge, just as strong. The gap between Sasahara and Kobayashi out to 5.3 seconds. Then with that kerfuffle, Kawabata in third, 2 seconds back. We still haven't officially seen any investigation into that accident that will promote, I'm suggesting will promote Shinichi Takagi up into third spot. Watarari diving down the inside of Oyagi. That was an easy move, wasn't it? Oyagi really didn't challenge him at all. Am versus Pro there. Watarari's still got a huge amount of work to do. I guess he's going to pick up some points by being in the overall top 10. I can't see him getting onto the tail of Fukuzumi in the last 9 minutes of this race. A drive-through penalty for car 296. That was definitely expected after that collision. So Kawabata will need to come and drive through, and he's going to drop to probably behind Motojima. So that's kind of worked as a punishment. I really hate it when you have a drive-through penalty for causing a collision on another car, and the punishment, when taken, means the car is still ahead of the one it punted off. But I think on this occasion, when 296 does make that penalty stop, it's going to end up coming out behind car 24, Motojima, that it's spun around. That puts 98 up onto the podium. As I say, first time this year that those guys have been anywhere close to the podium, sadly. They were champions last year. So we get to see that smiley face of Takagi again. But it's not done yet. 7, more like 8 minutes remaining. And we've got a little collection of cars behind the 360 of Tanaka. Should be getting out of the way here. Kobayashi slides through, easy peasy. But here is the replay. I don't know what 296 will be saying, Kawabata would be saying, is that the Max Racing Mercedes moved late, and he was already committed to the line, and you can kind of see that you know, once you, it's not like in a road car where when you brake you still have braking capacity. These guys are stamping on the brakes as hard as they possibly can to get these cars slowed down as late as they possibly can. So there's no sort of slowing down harder. The limit of adhesion and the limit of retardation was already found with the commitment of Kawabata. And for me, the Nissan moved across at that point. So having watched it second time, my opinion did change somewhat. Out of the pits, and look, he comes out in front of the 24. So that's where the punishment I don't particularly like, because it's like, well, hang on a second. He punted that car around, and there's no way of controlling it. There's nothing you can do to make it fairer. But if we're going to blame the Ferrari for that move, the Ferrari should be behind the Mercedes post pit stop. Here's Sasahara in the lead by 7.4 seconds now. Easy cruise to victory for sure. Kobayashi in second position, has a decent chunk advantage over Takagi. And our new team, Nordic Racing, in fourth spot. Takubamba, 2.4 seconds off Takagi. Is there an opportunity for a change? Not really. Sasahara, by the way, the only driver under the 1.5 minute barrier. Everybody else 1 minute 30 point something on that last lap, but Sasahara doing a 29.7, best 29.2. Good work. Saved perhaps a little bit by the safety car procedure, punching everybody up, giving Sasahara the opportunity. I can confirm that Cozzolino has retired the 45 car, so obviously didn't feel like they could do anything about moving up positions. I feel like they did that in Sugo as well. Once the spin had happened, it was sort of like, well, what's the point of this any longer? Oh, no, what was that? Toyota. Lack of concentration and just runs himself into the gravel. Is he still in the gravel? Couldn't see if he was behind the graphic there. No, he's not. It's back up and running again. And to be fair, quite hard for him to lose position. So I think maybe what he was doing there was trying to get out of the way of the leaders and sort of misjudged it. Thanks also to the safety car. The leaders have not had to deal with too much GT4 action. There is a GT4 car there now that they're having to get through. But so there is also that car guy Ferrari in there. Down the inside, Nordic Racing do to clear it. Fukushima is right close to Bamba. Bamba in fourth position. Is pretty feisty for 2.5 minutes left. Sasahara still in the 29s. Kobayashi fractionally slower than Takagi on the last. Sorry, that's a lie. Quite a lot faster than Takagi on the last lap. And then Bamba was even slower again. Wattarari is the second fastest driver on circuit, and Kawabata behind him is also moving quite fast. So 1 position gained by the 666 car, up to 6th. Nothing much more that could be done. Sasahara cruising to a victory with his main rivals, Cozzolino and Yokomizo, both parked up. They'll meet tomorrow morning. Sorry, tomorrow afternoon, isn't it? In the second Japan Cup race. I cannot wait to see those 3 giants of Japanese motorsport going head-to-head in basically identical Ferraris, right? Because they're all 3 of them are in Ferraris. Set up differently by different teams, and of course different colours, but effectively the same car. Will we see a change for 4th position before the race is over? Fukuzumi is so very close to Bamba, but it doesn't look as though there's been any suggestion of a move so far. Suzuki may well lose another position to Kawabata by the end of this, but it won't matter to them. We are on the last lap. Are we on the last lap? Yes, we are on the last lap. It's going to be tight, though. 28 seconds on the clock. Of course, usually the graphic says final lap on it, but the reason I question myself, there is the number 9. 15 seconds. Yeah, it's going to be okay. To the front and then was never questioned, was never challenged. Sasahara is going to come around the final corner here at Okayama and take the 2nd victory of the season for Bingo Racing and for his teammate Shinji Takai. It's going to be a nice result for Team Up Garage, their best of the season, in 2nd spot for Kobayashi and Akita, and 3rd will go to Takagi, who is by far the best result for them this year. Bamba, we welcome, and they will finish in 4th. Fukuzumi in 5th, Watawari in 6th position, and then winning AM once more, Suzuki, losing a position to Kawabata in the end, but it didn't really matter. And that means in the AM category, I'll find it on my sheets, a 4th victory for Team Machina, just missing out on that 5th one in Fuji Race 2. And here comes Tiger Wu, who will be the champion in GTC by the end of this weekend. Can't crown him yet. But comes over the line as the last car to take the checkered flag. And well done to Uko Sasahara and Takai. Made it look pretty simple, didn't he, Ukyo Sasahara? Not a lot more he could have done. And there are the celebrations down in pit lane. Round 5 of the championship for Japan Cup for 2025, done and dusted here in Okayama. And it rounds out our day's action on Saturday here in at the Okayama International Circuit. Tomorrow morning we'll have the second of the GT3 World Challenge Asia races, and then in the afternoon Japan Cup round 6. Shinji Takai, a happy man. Ukyo Sazahara does it again. Teammates last year as well, these two. Shinji Takai taking a victory in Sugo and 2 podiums in Okayama.
Here, okay? After. You need the girls and the cat.
He was teammate to Motoki last year. But had Ukyo Sazahara as his teammate in Sugo last year. Let's go down to Amy, who is ready with the winners' interviews.
さあ、岡山のレースですね。無事というかね、本当開幕戦ぶりの優勝ということでおめでとうございます。笹原選手、後半ちぎってました。おめでとうございます。
ありがとうございます。チームが本当いい車用意してくれたんで。ここで勝たないとちょっとチャンピオンシップ厳しいなっていうところではあったんで、なんとかリスタート後もとにかく一瞬のチャンスを狙っていって、車がね本当しっかり応えてくれたおかげで、あと前半の武井選手も素晴らしい走りでバトンタッチしてくれたんで、本当に今日はチームみんなで勝ち取った勝利だと思います。
素晴らしい気持ちいいね、優勝だと思います。武井選手、開幕戦も優勝してますけれども、やっぱ2回目っていうのは気持ちいいですね。
そうですね。ただ本当に反省点もすごいあって、富士ですごいボンミスをしてしまって、本当にもう一勝を逃してしまったんで、今回チーム体制、チームのいろいろ対策もして、新たに直すとか直して挑んだんですけど、そんな時に僕がまた右足を怪我してしまって、今回初めて左足ブレーキで運転していて、なんで本当ちょっと勝てる見込みではなかったんですけど、運も味方して、あとはもう本当に右京選手の本当にウェルダンな走りで、本当最高です。今日は勝てて、はい。
素晴らしいです。もう両足使いということで、はい。
今日から両足使いにちょっと慣れたかなみたいな。はい。
改めましておめでとうございました。
ありがとうございます。
So first of all, very shocking news. Takei has his right foot injured, so he has been braking with the left foot. That was very unexpected, but he said, yeah, it's been doing great, and see where we are right now. We have another win, so he's very happy about that. They fixed a few things after Fuji, and this is why the car is beautifully set up, and they have this win this weekend. And Sasahara also said that looking forward to the championship, this was a great victory because they needed the points to keep the faith towards the next race. And he's also looking forward to start the race from pole position tomorrow. So yeah, a very happy team. Back to you.
Just a single point separating Suzuki Kawabata from Takai and Sasahara now. So game on for the championship. Banksy's only 10 points back as well. That penalty for 296 really costing them in the championship. A silly move, a not needed move. Can't remember what the word is. And a complete waste of effort from Kawabata to drop them down the order. Interesting chat there from about the left-footed braking. Quite a normal thing to do if you've come up from the world of karting and you're in single-seaters. Braking with your left foot is very normal, but many of these gentlemen drivers coming from driving on the road, and therefore they tend to brake with their right foot and nothing with their left foot. Let's go back down to Amy.
はい、そして P2 ですね、アップガレージ18号車、秋田選手にお話を伺いたいです。もう上出来な P2 だと思うんですけれども、どんなレースでしたか？
まあそうですね、今年最高順位ということで、いい結果で終えれたんじゃないかなと思います。
でもこの暑い中、あと西日も強かったと思うんですけれども、あんまり汗をかいてらしてないかなと思って、まだね、休んで30分ぐらいしか経ってない。
はい、まあ僕のスティント終わって、プールチーム用意してくれてたんで、それに猫と一緒に入って涼んでました。はい。
まあ明日もまたレースあるんでね、はい、とりあえず、P2 おめでとうございます。小林選手、素晴らしい P2 だと思うんですけれども、やっぱデータもたくさん取れていいレースでしたか？
そうですね、思ったようなレースにはならなかったですけど、でも2位という結果は良かったかなと思うし、こうやってね、猫が喜んでるんで良かったかなと思います。嬉しい？
はい、ということでね、改めて P2 おめでとうございます。To our international fans, let me translate a little bit. So yeah, they are very happy about P2. It's the highest ranking for this season for them. So this is a great outcome. Also, the cat is very happy. And Akita apparently jumped into the pool after his stint. So that's why he did not have too much sweat on his face. So that was very cooling, he said. And Kobayashi also said, yeah, the cat is also very happy. And he was also very happy about this outcome, that he could help giving this team a P2. And they are looking forward to tomorrow. Back to you.
I'm not quite sure the significance of the cat, other than being a fan. Race 1 Japan Cup here in Okayama started under safety car conditions after the 45 car of Ponos Racing didn't get away from the grid, and so a single file start which rather dampened the first couple of laps. Banksy leading in the 666 ahead of Akita in the 18 machine. There was not a lot going on until Maezawa had a spin and collision with the wall. We think maybe a failure of the drive shaft. That allowed all the teams to pit under safety car conditions and come back out on the circuit in exactly the same order in which they went in, apart from those that had extra penalties from success. A slightly disappointing first stint for those amateur drivers, handing over to the pros for the second. Cars filtering out the pits and back to green flag racing, and that's where we started to see the moves. Very late move from Ukiyo Sasahara to get up to second position with a rear wheel squibbling all over the place. Penalties for Banksy and the 333 for overtaking under yellow flag conditions, and that dropped them to the tail of the field for a recovery drive. Ukiyo Sasahara by that time had made it to the front of the field and was driving away from the rest. This rather clumsy move from Kawabata down the inside of the 24 of Motojima. But Motojima to the tail of the field, and 296 in for a drive-through penalty. They came back out onto the circuit pretty much on the same part of track. But there was no doubt who was leading and who was able to storm away into the distance. Ukiyo Sasahara absolutely declassed the field in the Japan Cup. And him and Shinji Takai take their second victory of the year and puts them into the championship standings, just 1 point off the lead. It is tight at the top. Good to see the K-Tunes guys, especially Shinichi Takagi, and that big smiling face of his on the top step of the podium. Takai and Tetsuya Sasahara racing with each other a little bit in this championship last year, but putting a full championship together this year. And they will really rely upon tomorrow. And then, of course, Suzuka in a few weeks' time. I wonder if Sasahara is driving in the 1,000 kilometers. There might be a few that will do both Japan Cup and the 1,000 kilometers as drivers. And amazing to see 33 cars on the entry list to the Suzuka 1,000 Ks happening in 2 weeks' time. Majority of those Japan Cup and GT World Challenge competitors. The trophies and the plaque handed out to Bingo Racing with Elam Corsa. Takai and Sasahara with their victory. So 2 victories last year in Sugo. And then, unfortunately for Takai, his other teammate, Motoki, who he was partnered up again alongside, just not the same performance as Sasahara. They retired and were disqualified in Suzuka last year. Finished in Okayama with 2 third positions behind those K-Tunes guys who won the championship. And good to see Up Garage up there in 2nd position. Great backdrop as well. Really cool cartoony backdrop for the podium. There is no doubt the art department of GT World Challenge Asia worked very, very well. Champagne sprayed here in Japan. And we can check in with those point standings. Applause for our top 3 photos, and of course we will be celebrating all the other of our podiums, including GT4. Toyota Gazoo Racing Indonesia down there, getting themselves prepared for the GT4 podium. As the sun gets low in the sky here in Okayama. So Car Guy, 3rd position for Toyota Anota in the AM category. Father and son, Nissan Oyagi, with their Nissan flags proudly. Oh, every time that Team Achina get on the podium, you just have to smile. Uematsu and Suzuki, big smiles on their faces. They are absolutely dominating the AM category. So trophies being presented by Pirelli, our tyre provider across GT World Challenge globally. We always talk about the GT World Challenge Global Championship in Asia, in Europe, in America and Australia, but of course you do also have the SRO National Championships, much like Japan Cup, in both France and in the UK. big smiles at the top step of the podium in the AM category GT3. One of these days we'll get those guys on the top, on the overall podium. It can't be far. They all just look like they're having such a lovely time. Good spraying of the champagne, some good bottle popping going on the podium. And the celebrations on full force this evening. Thank you very much to our AM competitors then. And maybe we might crown a champion in the AM competition tomorrow. So one more podium then. Great to have a new name in GT4. Murakami Motors on the podium in third position. Zenko RS Garage with Sunrise Boulevard, that catchy name, second position on the podium. But it's yet another victory for Toyota Gazoo Racing Indonesia in their Toyota Supra. And they have taken every single victory so far this year. They almost, well no, now they've done that race. No, they have to still finish. They still have to do the races, don't they? I was about to say they were going to be victors automatically, but they still have to do the races as long as Zenko RS Garage are also in the Silver Am race. Also, they are the overall GT4 winners as well. So there we go then. Japan Cup race 1 done and dusted here from Okayama. Every night we're being threatened with thunderstorms, but nothing has transpired as yet. And therefore it does look as though we're going to have another very, very, very hot day tomorrow to round out our action here in Okayama. The corks pop, the champagne sprays, celebrations in both GT World Challenge Asia and Japan Cup. we go then. We are all done and dusted with the podiums. So all the trophies have been handed out then, and here are the point standings after race 1 here. So overall in GT3, we've got Cornez Racing just a single point ahead of Bingo Racing with LM Corsa, and then Banksy is 9 points back from that. And really, those are the 3 now, aren't they, for the championship after Max Racing. Strong performance, but being spun around. We need a big change. Oh yes, don't forget Tiger Wu. Tiger Wu winning the GTC category. With those amazing colours on both his race overalls and the car. Does the whole race on his own. Looks very fit considering, doesn't he? Big smile on his face. Well done, Tiger. Ooh, now hang on a second. Who's coming out? Who else is coming on the podium? Oh, there's the delegates coming to have a photo with Tiger. And he will be crowned champion tomorrow of GTC. A very strong result from Tiger Wu. And actually, in some parts of the qualifying, was right in the mix with GT3 cars as well. One last champagne pop. Nice to hear he's got some support down there in the paddock. Well done, Tiger. Great to have you with us. And he gets a plaque as well, which is a bit of a tough one to carry all 3. But there you go. So point standings then in GT4 overall. As I said, Toyota Gazoo Racing unchallenged at the top from Zenko RS. It has been Supra ahead of Cayman throughout the year. No sign of Betty Chen, sadly, after their K-Tunes car ended up upside down in Fuji. And Murakami Motors get some points on the board in 4th position. Calendar out for next year then, very, very similar to the 2025 calendar, with Sugo starting the championship as a standalone Japan Cup race, but a little bit earlier than the last couple of years, middle of May that will be. And then the 2 Power Tour events alongside GT World Challenge in both Fuji and then Okayama. And exactly the same as what's happening right now. They will finish their season in Suzuka as a support race to the Suzuka 1,000 kilometers. And so that is it for Japan Cup. Thanks for joining us, and hopefully join us again tomorrow for more racing action.